So tell me a little bit about how you even converted to Islam. How did you find Allah in the first place?
Yeah, how Allah found me. I love to reframe it in this way, where I didn't find Allah, Allah found me. SubhanAllah, and when Allah finds you, nothing can stop it. Ahmed Shawqi is a great Egyptian poet. He says, أَخُوكَ عِيسَى دَعَ مَيْتًا فَقَامَ لَهُ. Like, oh Muhammad, your brother Isa, he called the dead to life by the will of Allah. وَأَنْتَ Muhammad أَحْيَيْتَ أَجَالَ مِنْ رِمَمِ. But you brought generations to life with Iman, like from there to me. You know what I mean? There was this black brother, he became Muslim with me one time. He's like, I am the answer of the dua of my relatives, man. I was like, SubhanAllah, dude, you're right. Like, that dua, found you. There was one time a sister, she contacted me. She wasn't Muslim. She was adopted. She didn't know her lineage. And so she said, the only thing I have is a piece of paper that they say my lineage is on. It was Arabic. It was Shajarat al-Al, her family tree. She was Hassani, man. She was from the family of Sayyidina Imam Hussein. Then she told me, the reason she reached out to me on Instagram, I keep seeing Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in my dreams, like 60 times. I was like, man, who are you? I was like, remember that one Star Wars with the Jedi Knight, that girl, and Luke found her? I was like, oh, I'm not Luke, but I got to help her. If this is Ahlul Bayt Rasul, as a Sunni, I have to serve them, right? So I said, man, who are you? She told me I'm adopted and this, I'm from a certain country, and I have this piece of paper. So she sent me the piece of paper, and it had her lineage all the way back to Imam al-Hussein. And she told me I was abandoned, unfortunately, as a child, maybe a war. And I said, I know what your dream means. I said, your grandfather came back to get you.
SubhanAllah. Wait. So was she adopted from a non-Muslim,
yeah,
to a non-Muslim family?
Yeah, bro. Wow. Then she took Shahada that day.
SubhanAllah.
But so Allah found me, I would say when I was very young, I was going to church and they started teaching us Aqidah, I used to go to church twice a week, Sunday and Wednesdays. My mother was very adherent. My grandfather was a preacher. My father went to a very strict Christian university. Then he went to Pepperdine in LA. And so when they started saying, so they used to talk about God, first you learn about the old prophets before Jesus. So they're worshiping God, And I don't want to, upset any of your non-Muslim guests. I'm just telling you my story. His story is his story, right? It's my story, his story. So, but the haqq has to be said. So they started saying now God is three. But before all that, Moses prayed to God, Abraham prayed to God, David prayed to God. So I thought God was one. That's fitrah. That's the normative nature of a person. But then they were like, today we're going to talk about this thing called Trinity. So I got confused and I went home and they were saying your salvation is contingent on Trinity. And I went to my mother and I was like, am I going to hell because of what I believed before, that God was one, now God is three, right? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, those prophets that came before Jesus, they didn't worship Jesus. They didn't pray to Jesus. They didn't pray to a Holy Spirit. They prayed to God. And she's like, I don't have an answer. When your mother doesn't have an answer for you, it'll leave you sort of out there. So that was when I was very young. And then growing up, of course, exposed to sort of the negative Muslim propaganda, Islamic propaganda at that time. And then I had a friend who I produced music for, a few of them. And they were pseudo-Muslims. And they had a Quran in the studio, man. It's weird. And I used to read it. Then I was like, man, this is the truth, man. And then I went to a library and got a copy of the Quran and read it. I hid it from my mother. I actually hid it in the restroom. May Allah forgive me. I didn't know. Because my mother was old school, hardcore, dedicated Christian woman from the country. We didn't eat at restaurants when I was little, man. My mother's cooking, none of that, right? With salt, by the way. I know white people, with salt and spice a little. And then I met a friend, the one I told you about earlier in high school. Then I met a sheikh, an American sheikh at a flea market. He had a turban and a thobe, Sheikh Abdurrahman al-Basir was my teacher, always will be my teacher, was my first teacher. And so I went to him, I used to sell mixtapes. I was a blood, I had all this red clothes on, acting.
You were in
the
blood gang?
I mean, it's whatever, man. It's wannabe stuff, man. But Pomona 456. And then in Oklahoma, because crack came to Oklahoma. And I met him, and then I was selling mixtapes, but he had something about him, he had, the sunnah has barakah, you know what I mean? Has nur. So I was like, man, who's this dude? So I went up to him, and then I was like, hey, what's up? And then he was like, what's up? I didn't know he could talk. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was from America. But he was more like, his vernacular was more young than like our vernacular, you know, but it wasn't grifty. It was real. And I was like, what is this? He was selling incense and oils. He's like, man, this is Islam. I was like, don't you hate white people? I started going, he was like, no. Like, no, that's not Islam. And so he gave me one pamphlet. I think that's very important, the ICNA pamphlet, Islam at a Glance. This is why I love ICNA. I will always have a soft spot in my heart for ICNA, Islamic Circle of North America, because that was the first thing I really read. And like, that's how it started. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was 14 as well. So I kind of became aware of different Islams, but wasn't 100% clear because I was DJing, right? So I was like, oh, Malcolm X, cashing checks, breaking necks, Fools Iraq. I was like, man, his name rhymes with everything, you know? And then I met him when I was 16 or 15 in a market. And then every time I would go and sell a mixtape, and then I would talk with him about stuff, you know, just about life. And so my father's the kind of father that's there, but not there, because your presence is a gift. That's why it's called present. You know what I mean? His present, God forgive him, wasn't there. So in a way to find an older man that was like, he was in my head. We say back then, dropping science. Like, he was dropping science, dude. He's like, why are you here? What are you living for? How long are you gonna be in these streets? He was on me, bro. And then I got in a drive-by shooting. It was the second time I was incarcerated. I didn't go to prison because I was young. And then when I was in prison, I was a blood in an all Crip cell. They were all in blue, and I was a white boy blood. They knew me. And I had on red old shoes called British Knights. I was trying to hide. Like, I was like, oh, hi, guys. You know, I was trying to protect myself, bro. You know, and they were like,
how old were you?
16, 17. Yeah, man. And I was already on probation at that time. I don't like to talk about this stuff, but yeah, you know, Abrar qubur asrar, right? The righteous are secrets, graves of secrets, they say so. And so, but when I was in there, I had this like push to go back to that dude at the flea market. I was like, man, that's the guy that can help me. I don't know why I had that feeling. You know what I mean? So I got out. My father wasn't getting me out of jail. He was like, you need to, my father's old school, bro. He was like, you can stay your bleep in there as long as it takes. They let me out because I was underage in an adult population. You know what I mean? So as soon as I got out, that next Saturday, I ran to that guy, man. And he was like, yeah, this is the only way out, bro. Like, he was like, this is, and I think that's something that people don't realize. It's important that we teach people Tawheed, but also we show them the efficacy of Islam in their life. Like Malcolm taught religion, but he taught people how to clean themselves up. And that's hope in that, man. يُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا, the Quran says, to purify you. So I didn't realize at that time he had a past, right? And he was able to show me, like, you're either gonna go to prison, you're gonna die, or you're gonna do this. You know what I mean? And so he got in my head. And so I continued with him, and then I took Shahad on accident, man. It's a crazy story, but after a while I took Shahad on accident.
Yeah, can you tell us the story?
Like, so I thought I was Muslim, by the way. Like, I thought I don't eat pork, I don't drink, I still smoke weed, but at that time, right? So I thought, oh, I'm Muslim, God is one. I read the whole Quran almost in English. In that restaurant, I got to Surah Al-Ma'idah, when I got to the 5th chapter of the Quran, and it said, Kana ya'kulani ta'am, that Jesus and Mary ate food. I was like, yeah, that's it, I'm Muslim. Like, why would you eat food if you're God? You know what I mean? Like, it hit me. That verse, it's like my favorite verse, because that verse is like, pow, like the lights came on, you know what I mean? And then I even had a girlfriend, this is crazy, my wife's gonna shoot me for this, whose uncle was Muslim. And that's the other thing, Allah was furnishing all these Muslims around me, like real Muslims, not like, you know, whatever. And so I was like, with her, she's like, have some bacon. I was like, oh, no fork on my pork, strictly fish on my dish, right? And then she was like, why? And I was like, because I'm Muslim, like Tupac, I'm Muslim now, no more dope game, right? And then she was like, you know what she said? This is a non-Muslim woman, man. She was like, you're not Muslim. SubhanAllah. And I was like, why? She's like, Muslims don't live like you. Muslims aren't like, you think it's just not eating pork? Like, imagine Allah sent this lady to give me like khutbah, wa'id, in her house. And then I saw somebody get shot. Someone I knew, he got shot. He bled out in front of me. And if you know, that young to see the violence of America, I don't like to talk about this stuff. I saw it. in front of me. I saw this man's lungs explode. He got shot with a 9. And then I remember I went to the police and I was like, man, can't you like save him? Because it's like, it's shock. We think about now what's happening in Gaza and Syria and Lebanon and Yemen. And, you know, man, these people witnessing death. So I saw that happen in front of me at so young. And the police were like, he's done, dude. They didn't even call the ambulance, bro. And then I looked back and it was like his blood was just like going down the street, man. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, like, am I gonna live like this? Like, I wanna like die like that at so young? And so all of this happened. And then I met him again. And then he just started, at that time, he started unloading, bro. Like before he was, you know, it was hors d'oeuvres. My man was hitting me with the matluba. You know, he was hitting me with the mashi. He was hitting me with the lahma. He was hitting me with the brisket. He was hitting me with the biryani. He was unloading. And then it impacted me. So I went one more time in November, 92. I was very young. And I went to college. I cleaned. I was like, I'm leaving the streets. You know, I left everything. And even some of the gangsters told me the only way you can get out is be Muslim. Like, subhanAllah, man, it was weird how all this happened. So then...
Why? What was their reason?
There was a lot of respect for Malcolm and what Malcolm meant to the streets, even in the early 90s.
Wow. And
a sacredness to what Malcolm meant. And God bless his daughters, they're still around, you know. And so it was strange. Like, Allah yahdi man yasha, bro. Like, Allah will open doors for you. You just got to go in. That's why it's important. Allah says, وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. Like, there's signs for you. But you got to be looking for signs. If I miss the sign, I'll run the intersection. You know what I mean? So, but these signs are like, pow, like, you know, like IMAX, you know? I couldn't escape it. And then, yeah. And so then I went to see him, and then he was like, hey, we're going to this. This is a crazy story. You're making me think about things. Forgive me for talking too much. This is your show.
No, this is what you're here.
The night before, I DJ'd this party in Norman, Oklahoma. I know you're from Texas. Norman is, of course, the head of the greatest college football team in the world, the Oklahoma Sooners, mashallah. So, or you live in Texas. And the next night, there was even a bigger party in the same city, okay? So when I went to see them the next day, I was still struggling. They were like, in that same city where that new big party was, they're like, hey, we have a gathering in a mosque. You want to come? So I thought, oh, man. I had a very secularized understanding of religion. I was like, oh, man, I'll go to the Muslim church, and then after that, I can go party. See how I was thinking? And then I went to the masjid. I didn't know, you know, the masjid. And I was sitting in the back and they were praying Isha after our little like halaqah. I don't think I understood anything they were talking about, bro. And then the guy that led Salat was from Senegal in Oklahoma to see like a very, very dark-skinned person leading the congregation. I was like, hey, this is Malcolm applied. This is not Malcolm as an abstraction. And then his voice, Sheikh, I memorized the Quran with him later on. His voice, man, was like, subhanallah, you know, even for a non-Muslim at that time. I thought I was Muslim, but like, I was just like, wow, man, what is that? What's he reading? I didn't know. Then after I was sitting, and then this Pakistani brother came by. I wish I could find him. And Yusuf Estez was there that night, by the way. This is crazy. Yeah, he was there. And the guy said to me, why didn't you pray? Aren't you Muslim? And I was like, yeah, I'm Muslim. Right? And then the brothers that I came with were like, you're Muslim? I was like, yeah, I've been Muslim for like 3 years, dude. I don't eat bacon. You know, I don't drink, right? And then they said, no, man, you got to take Shahada. I was like, what's that? And they're like, you gotta like testify. So then I said Shahada. I didn't go to that party, bro. You know what I mean? I went home, man. Because I was like, pow, it hit me, man. It hit me, dude. Like, I took Shahada and I was feeling it, man. You know what I mean? I felt it. And I was like, hey, I got to go home, man. I can't be out living like this, man. It was just like immediate, like, boom. You know, it doesn't mean it was perfect, but like that night, you know, I went home.
How did you deal with your family, and how did your family react to your son?
No, like, I think how I told them I became Muslim was the big mistake on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, you were one of those on Thanksgiving Day.
What's one of those?
Dinner.
What does that mean, one of those,
You know,
bro?
like that one person at Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah, I was the Tyler Perry variable at the Thanksgiving Day dinner.
You were the Trump supporter.
Knives Out. I was, okay.
Hey, man, it's
I'm
the
not
equivalent.
right or I'm not left. Okay, before we get started, I'm prophetic in my politics.
I'm just drawing an
It's another
analogy
discussion.
here.
Okay. Don't trump your audience. I need to Biden some time here, but
Hey, man, I'm from Texas.
Biden
bro.
some time.
Okay. I like
So
it.
I hid my Islam because I was terrified of my family, and also I love my family. So I think that's something that people don't realize. Like, I don't want to hurt them. So that was even a bigger challenge. Like, I was very close to my mother, even when she died in 2016. I used to call my mother every day, man. Even in Egypt, that's the kind of relationship. I'm the baby. I love my mother. I love my mother dearly. She was a great mother. Great mother. Used to sing songs to me. My mother would iron clothes, man. We didn't eat at restaurants. Old school, successful director of her company, and just like managed all these things, man. Beautiful handwriting, singer, had us dressing right. I used to wear suits to church, man. Was no jeans, none of that, And so I didn't want to hurt her. And that's a component I think sometimes we don't catch with new Muslims. Like, they don't want to hurt their families. They love Allah, and they're not going to sacrifice that commitment to Allah. But we got to condition this a little, And so my father had seen pamphlets around the house. And then he was like, what's up with this Mohammedan business, right? And I was like, oh, I'm just studying. I'm just studying. And it's interesting, my father actually in 89, 90, the masjid in that city, the neoconservatives tried to stop them from building that mosque. My father went and testified on behalf of the mosque as a professor of history that it's their constitutional right to have a masjid. That would be the masjid I would later on be imam in.
SubhanAllah. And it's not because of you that he did this.
No. I was a kid.
Oh,
I was like freshman in high school, right? And so he would see these pamphlets and stuff, and he was like, what's this, blah, blah, blah. And then I became Muslim. And then I'm like, I used to have to pray like outside. I would pray, shut the bathroom door, pray with a sajada. I was worried, Fajr, because they don't wake up at Fajr, man. So there is a lot of stress that initially comes with some of us who embrace Islam, of just like what this is going to mean to our families. Not that we're going to renege on anything, but it's just like, we don't want to hurt them. So my father, at the Thanksgiving Day table, my brother brings his fiance. The story just gets worse and worse. And my mother, country women, not all country women, my family were like Hicks, like poor country people. Wilson, Oklahoma, Tonka, Oklahoma. She made this ham, bro. This ham was bigger than this room, dude. It was big. And I was like, it was right in front of me. And it was like oozing khanzir asir, pig juice, man. And I was like, that's a big pig, man. It's stuff for Allah, right? And so then my mom is like, baby, I made this ham just for you. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to have the turkey. Let me try that. The turkey looks really great. I'm trying to skip asir khanzir. Gets turkey.
Right.
And she's like, but baby, I made it just for you, blah, blah, blah.
Did you like ham? Is that the thing?
No,
like
it's
ham?
just mom's.
They
man.
always say they made it just for you.
Matluba, right? Probably you. It's like what? Mulukhiyah, aranib.
All of it.
Anything they make, bro. Yeah. So
Mahshi.
I can throw down on some mash and some hot sauce any day of the week.
Oh, okay.
So, and kosheri. But she was like, you got to have it. Then started doing the mom stuff, right? And then my dad was like, why don't you tell us about that Muhammad garbage?
He put it together right there.
My man came at me dropping the ether. And then I was like, I am Muslim. Young, wild, young, hot, emotional. And then my mom at that time was drinking water. And she's like, when your mom stops and looks at you, that's like a death sentence. Yeah, damn, ala tul, you're done. And she was like, how could you do this to Jesus? And then my brother's fiance is like, what the heck kind of family is this, dude? I'm young, just 20. Then I'm like, Ahmadiyya said this, Ahmadiyya said that, Ahmadiyya. I'm just quoting Ahmadiyya. I'm dropping Ahmadiyya like bow, 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 you know? And my family is like, you were just like 30 minutes ago, quiet, nice with your tie on, you know? And it created stress that took me like 7 years to fix, for real. Then I remember after I told them, I was shaking, man. I went in the room, I was like shaking.
7 years to fix within yourself, man, or within your
family? With them, man, that's some serious, you know, kind of, in the sense of I stayed with them, I lived with them, they were supportive of me, but like, you messed up Thanksgiving Day, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you why on Thanksgiving Day? I'm like, why'd you say garbage? You know, like, come on. He's like, I didn't know you were a Muslim, you know? I was like, you're the guy who went to the mosque, now you're calling it garbage, right? You know, and so like, he was like, it's a rhetorical device. My father's a smart guy. It's a rhetorical device. It's not meant to be taken literally. I'm like, look, man, I'm too young at that time to know all that. But at the same time, those kind of things create opportunity for healing that can make relationships better. So like later on, man, my parents would go to Eid, you know what I mean? They would, my mother would go buy halal meat. They thought she was a Fed or immigration attorney or something. She'd go in a, you know, halal store and like, it's like 70-year-old non-Muslim lady, man, with like, you know, dressed like a Southern woman. And she's like, yeah, I'm here to get like, you know, where's the chicken masala and this and that. And they were like, where's the keema? Where's this? They were like, how's she know about all this? So alhamdulillah, like, you know, after I memorized the Quran and I finished school, I had the highest grades in my whole family. That fixed it, but it took a while.